So I have been ill for the past few days. So I kind of fell behind on making the daily videos for my meditation challenge. So I'm just going to do one video for the past 4 days and call it good enough. Because I did stick to the meditation practice, sort of. I just didn't have the energy to do the videos, and now I'm feeling a little bit better. So I figured I'd sit down and do that. Um, so let's take a look. I have been using a great app actually to track my meditation type called Insight Timer. So I'm now looking at that on my phone to sort of jog my memory of what I did the past few days. So for day 9 and 10, um, what I did was I tried to meditate in the morning before I went to work, and I rushed through it. Like, I think my intention was to sit for 30 minutes. I made it through about 9 minutes on day 9 and 6 minutes and 30 seconds on day 10. And the thing that I noticed a lot about those morning meditations before I'm getting up and starting my day is I don't want to do them. I just want to get up and start my day. It's become part of the routine, but it's something that I'm really still struggling with. I find it much easier to sit and meditate later in the day or at night. Um, and my intention both of those days had been to meditate when I got home and try to do a more lengthy session. And what happened both of those days was I felt really under the weather, and I came home and just crashed because that's what my body wanted to do. And who am I to argue with that? I wasn't really aware at that point that I was getting sick. I just knew, like, I don't feel great and I'm really tired. So I just went to bed and didn't do any evening meditations. So that was kind of how day 9 and 10 went. Day 11, I didn't actually sit to do meditation. um, in the morning, I really wasn't feeling well, but I needed to go to work and open up the shop because the girl I'm working with can't. She doesn't have her key yet. She's still in training. So I had to be there. So I was at work until one of my other coworkers came in who was closing for the day. And I was really not with it because I wasn't feeling well. I was sick. And so I didn't do a meditation. What I did end up doing was I went and had a massage done in the evening. Um, and that, for me, kind of counted towards my meditation because at a 90-minute massage, I pretty much was in a meditative state while that was happening. So I'm counting it. And it felt really good. And despite the fact that, like, I was worried, like, part of the time it's like, oh, am I gonna get sick? Because I've been definitely running to the bathroom a lot. It ended up being, like, a really restorative, great thing that I did for myself. So, go me. So today was day 12, and I stayed home from work today because I'm still in that state where I'm sick and my body's giving me about 5 seconds warning before I have to run to the bathroom, which is not a pretty image to convey to y'all, but that's kind of how my day has been. So I kind of figured, okay, well, I don't have anything else to do today. My body's not particularly cooperating with me. Everything today has to do with resting. I figured, okay, let's focus on the meditation practice. So what I did about mid-morning, I sat down and I set my timer for an hour, and I made it. How far did I make it? I made it 12 minutes into the hour and then just stopped because the whole, like, uncomfortable, rushed feeling was starting to take over me. So I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. And it wasn't that furious. It was just kind of like, ugh, I feel uncomfortable. I don't really feel like being uncomfortable anymore. I want to go do something else. So that happened. That was kind of my morning meditation. And like I did some other stuff. I kind of like surfed the internet and kind of forgot about it for a while. And then I was taking a shower. And when I was taking the shower, I was starting to get like really angsty about this whole meditation challenge because I knew that I needed to like sit down and make a catch-up video on my progress. I was like super unhappy with the progress I'd been making because I felt like I was in this place where, okay, my intention is to meditate for an hour. That has been my intention this entire time. But I've sort of taken the attitude up until this point that as long as I show up and meditate for any amount of time, it counts. And I was just feeling frustrated because I knew at some level I needed to like just deal with the discomfort of doing it for a longer period of time. And just like I just had to do it essentially. um and like I was just like getting really like angsty about it, and I'm like, well, should I quit? But I was far enough like into like, it's day 12, like I've made it this far. I should keep going. I want to keep going. And then there was also that part of me, it was like, I don't like doing this. Why am I doing this to myself? I was like going back and forth while I'm taking the shower. And there was just something inside of me that's like, okay, when you get out of the shower, you're just going to like do it for an hour. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I got out of the shower. I set my meditation timer for an hour. I chucked my phone across the room. Because I think part of the temptation of me quitting every session early has been, it's like, oh, my phone with my timer is right next to me. I can just hit quit every time I want. If I check my phone on the other side of the room, if I want to quit early, I still gotta like get up and go do that. And pretty much what I told myself, because I am still sick. The only reason that I can get up in this hour is because I'm going to the bathroom. And while I'm doing that, as long as I stay with my breath, I'm still sort of in the meditation, and then I can come back and lay down and just like go back into it. And you know what? I made it an hour. In the last 5 minutes, I had to go to the bathroom. So when I came back to bed, like the last 5 minutes of it didn't like feel particularly meditative, whatever. I can't say that word. I wasn't like super like chill and calm. I was very restless in the last 5 minutes, and that probably was exacerbated by the fact that I was getting up around the time the cats thought they needed to be fed, so I also attracted the attention of felines that wanted attention. But I successfully made it for an entire hour. So one of the things I found was different for me in this longer meditation than the shorter ones that I have been doing for the past week or so is that in those shorter meditations, one of the things that I tend to like, I guess, do is just try to keep my head quiet. Like I'm very much a very heady person in my day-to-day life. I'm very thought oriented. So when I meditate, oftentimes my goal is just to keep the head quiet. The trouble with that is that I tend not to listen to anything else. And the intention really of trying to do this meditation practice is to listen to what's on my heart. And that's something that hasn't been happening for me until today, really, because I've been so focused on must keep head quiet um, that I am not listening to anything, because any thought that pops up I'm associating with the head, when in actuality, sometimes those thoughts have much more to do with the heart. Um, so I noticed that like I was suppressing a lot of the heart related thoughts, um, just in favor of just trying to keep my head quiet and thought free. Um, and I'm very effective about keeping my head quiet and thought free, but it was definitely causing a lot of discomfort and anxiety. So in this longer meditation, I kind of took an approach where if thoughts came up, I was not necessarily going to chase them, but like allow them to be more. I wasn't necessarily going to very quickly hit swipe to try to get rid of them, like a phone notification you don't want to see. Um, so that was something that was very different in this particular meditation, and some stuff came up. So in this meditation, when I was starting to drop down into my heart space, and to do that, I physically put my hands over my heart to remind myself that was where I wanted to be in this meditation. Um, Something that immediately came up was this scenario with a friend of mine. And this is probably going to be a little bit difficult to talk about. I feels very vulnerable. Oh, excuse me. Um, but I'm going to give it a valiant effort. Um, and this is a person that I used to live with. Wonderful individual. Highly value my friendship with him. Um, but it's always been a friendship where I've wanted more than what this individual could give. Um, I think the friendship is incredibly beautiful for what it is, but like even when I was living with him and he was a day-to-day part of my life, I always wanted more time than he could give, more attention than he could give, um, so on, etc. And as time has gone on, our lives have gone completely different directions, and I hear from him occasionally, but not as much as I would like. And it's always been something that's been incredibly heartbreaking to me. And one of the things that Kyle Cease has said, and I think I wrote it down when I was watching Live at the Moor, but I think it's in his book as well, was this quote. And I will read it from where I wrote it down. Nobody broke your heart. What they broke was your expectations, which brought you closer to your heart. And in this particular situation, I think it's completely applicable. Um, Despite the fact that, like, I am holding a lot of hurt in my heart because I definitely had some expectations or desires that were just not in alignment with reality. um, and one of the things that I realized is a reality is that I have these kind of habitual, I guess, fantasies, you could call them, um, of all of these desires and expectations I have of this particular person that really don't necessarily need to be pinned on that person. They could be met by other people. And the fact that I am fixating on this person is making me closed off to allowing other people in my life to be whoever that is, basically, if that makes any sense at all. Um, And a big part of where I ended up in this meditation was like forgiving myself for that, because I was going back to these little fantasies because they were warm and cozy, and for brief moments they were making me happy, but in the great grand scheme of things, I was putting so much priority on them, um, and they weren't helping me or serving me at all. And I feel that the fact that I've had this going on internally, um, for quite some time now, has put a lot of strain on the actual friendship with this person. Um, and really made it hard to appreciate who he is as a person, and the fact that he's going his own way is really really a gift. And one of the things I had this really overwhelming sense of during this meditation was that the fact that he's not part of my day-to-day life anymore, the fact that our contact is very limited, was a choice that was really made out of love. It's something that is still very painful for me. I am experiencing a lot of grief around it. It's incredibly difficult to talk about because I feel like I'm going to lose myself with emotion. Which is why there's so many edit points in this video, because I could just feel myself sort of, I'm gonna cry. And in the meditation, I actually did cry, and that felt really, really good. Um, but yeah, that was a very, very big part of my meditation today. Um, I'm pretty sure there were other things that came up, but that's the one that's definitely hitting me, because it's been such a heavy weight on my heart. And that's pretty much what I have been experiencing with meditation the past few days. So I'm caught up on video. I will see you probably tomorrow.